How's it? Morning. I don't know what's going on here again with the Wi-Fi and that, but I've just been requested to do something. So I'm just going to take a look here. And no, Sergeant, I'm glad to report no Ducati or Marquez supporters anywhere to be seen at this moment in time. So I don't know if you guys watch MotoGP. I'm a fanatic. I'm an absolute fanatic, MotoGP. And my MotoGP support is very similar to my rugby support, okay? So my rugby support is like this. I support only three sides. I only support three sides. I support the Lions because I live in Gauteng and Johannesburg. I support the Springboks. And I support anybody who plays against the Bulls. Those are my three teams. And for MotoGP, that I'm even more fanatical about, I support the three brands. I support, as you can see, Aprilia, but my heart is still with KTM. I support KTM, Brad Binder. I really feel like, after their woes, they were the underdogs, and I'd really like to see them do well. That's why I love watching Pedro Acosta flip and kick ass on that KTM. I support KTM, Aprilia, and any other flip and bike that's not a Ducati, I support. And why? Have I got any kind of intrinsic problem with Ducati? No, but Ducati is developing the same attitude that KTM had. KTM developed this attitude, and we know how it ended for KTM. And sorry, you don't want to hear biblical stuff when we start talking about sport, but this is not a biblical thing or not a sport thing. This is just a human thing. We see it now, even in our politics. Pride comes before every fall. And a haughty spirit leads the way to every type of destruction. It's in Proverbs. And that's why I've ended up supporting the brands I support. I've ended up supporting the rugby teams I support. I ended up, I still support Manchester United in football. Even though they became exceptionally arrogant under Ferguson, and we saw what happened to them. You know what I mean? They went from being world champions and Premier League and this and that for 30, 35 years. They thought they were untouchable and undefeated. And then Ferguson left, and the collapse was actually quite spectacular, to be honest. Same with the Bulls, same with the Boks. They became great and then thought they'd never be beaten, and they collapsed. Now they've rebuilt, and I just want them to keep the humility that they've kept. Same with Aprilia, same with KTM. You get to a place where you start thinking that you can't ever be beaten, and then this pride steps in and this haughtiness steps in, and this is what's happened with Ducati. They make exceptional motorbikes, don't get me wrong. I mean, you drop off a V4R Panigale, you're going to hear no complaints from this individual. That I can promise you right now. But watch the arrogance, boys. And that's what I see happening in their MotoGP team. Particularly with a certain number 93. When 93 walked in there, 63, was thrown to the wolves, in my view. How does a guy go from being multiple world champion, another guy enters the paddock or enters the flip and garage, and all of a sudden this guy is nowhere to be seen. He's running at the back of the pack, you know what I mean, on exactly the same equipment, which I don't think it is. I must be honest with you. And then why would that guy flip and leave to go to Aprilia? And, I think the Katie's making a bit of a mistake here, I must be honest, but that's a discussion for another time. Bringing a Costa in there with Marquez, I think that dynamic's not going to work. Because Marquez is definitely not going to let the young gun just come and take over there. And it's going to develop into, I think, something nasty. I really do. I don't see them staying mates for long. But be that as it may, it's the same in our government, and in our country. And this is my question for today. I just wanted to intro with that, because I might use a part of that intro for a different video with motorcycles, which I'm busy editing today. But where are we going from here is my question, We see what's going on. You look at the latest polls. I don't have big faith in polls. Polls have been very wrong before. But these guys that are doing the polls in South Africa have generally, over the years, been pretty close. They've generally been within 1% or 2% of what the actual outcomes of elections have been. And these polls are saying things like 18% for the ANC in Johannesburg, 42% for the DA, and the rest, are just tagging along. They're saying things like Action SA is done, like COPE was done. I think the dark horse in all of this, I think a lot of people are missing out the Freedom Front Plus in terms of the black voter. And I think there's a large portion of the black voters that are going to be voting for Freedom Front Plus, particularly because of Peter Groenewald's efforts within correctional services. That has not gone unnoticed in this country. We have this constitution that has pretty much allowed criminals to run riot and run rampant over our country. And the vast majority of people that are suffering the hardest under crime, I know you as white guys don't want to believe this, but I promise you, the people that are suffering the hardest under crime is our black and our colored communities. These are the places where gangs and drugs and violence are order of the day, particularly in a lot of our poorer, lower income, informal settlements, it's literally dog-eat-dog in those places, and people are suffering unbelievably as a result of crime. And when people see a guy like Groenewald taking a hard line on criminals in our prisons and making the decisions he's making in our prisons while saving billions and billions of rands at the same time, please believe me, the average black South African, not the militant, crazy lunatics that we all know about, right? But the average black South African, the people that I think are going to save this country, the black middle class, the guys that have worked, the guys that have used their democracy and their freedom to build lives for themselves, their families, and particularly their children, I think they're going to be the saviors of this country. Because I think it's that black middle class that is going to put this ANC in its rearview mirror. And it's that black middle class that is got common sense and logic, because they've built something. They've built something with their hands. They've gone to work. They've earned the money. They've got the flipping mortgage. They've bought the house. They've got the car loan. They've bought the car. They're paying the car. They're paying the house. They're putting their kids through school. They're doing everything that every human being in this world does that is logical, They're working in order to survive. They're working in order to make the futures better for their kids. And, I don't think this apartheid racism rhetoric is resonating with these people anymore, particularly, for us average guys in South Africa that walk around daily, go to the petrol station, go to the mall. White people and black people deal with each other every single day in this country, every single day. And I found this to be an absolute truth, right? If you treat somebody with disrespect, you will get disrespect back. It doesn't matter what color that person is. If you're sitting at a table at a restaurant and you're exceptionally rude to the waiters and waitresses and the managers and that, but your racism, can I put it that way, is, out on your sleeves, and people can see that you're treating these people badly just because of a racial demographic, you're going to get that straight back. And it's the same if you're at a restaurant and you're a white person sitting there and the black waiters and the black flipping managers are treating you badly, your prejudices, that's the word I'm looking for. And you can clearly see their prejudice towards you because you are a white person and you're disrespected because of it, or you feel like you're disrespected because of it. That's exactly what's going to go back to the person disrespecting you. But if you are black and you are white or whatever color you are, and you sit down and you treat those people with respect and they treat you with respect, there's no problem. And I find that in my interactions on a daily basis to be absolutely the norm. These political parties and even some of these lobby groups and that have got people under the impression that, wherever we go, we're pointing guns at each other, getting ready to kill each other all day, every day. And that's absolutely not the reality of what's going on here. Yes, we have absolutely massive crime issues, but we know why. We know why. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole argument of socio-economics and all this stuff. No. The reason we have a high crime problem is because there's zero accountability due to the way the Constitution is written. You see, the Constitution was written to prevent people from being able to enslave other people or exploit other people. And what has happened is that Constitution has been manipulated in such a fashion that it now benefits the criminal. And the criminal is running riot in South Africa. This is absolutely 100% a mafia state, a cartel state. And those that have got money through these organized crime entities have now stretched their tentacles while manipulating the Constitution, while manipulating their rights, have stretched their tentacles into our flippin' judicial system and into our flippin' law enforcement system, to the point where they've manipulated that to the point where their own people, organized criminals, are operating within these structures. And that is the problem. That is absolutely the problem. And we can see it. We can see it all the way right to number one. How the Constitution is being manipulated to protect the criminal from accountability. And that is something that the average black South African, I don't know what the word is in Zulu or Xhosa or Sotho, but maybe one of you guys can put it here. What's the word for gatvol? Because I see even Akamala uses that word a lot. Gatvol. But, the average South African who is flipping, slaving away, okay, to earn a living, black, white, Indian, colored, is gatvol of coming home to find his house broken into, finding the police, and the police don't pitch up. Or when the police do pitch up, or when the police even catch somebody, within minutes that person is out due to bribery and all of this type of thing. That's where the problem is. It's the zero accountability. And exactly what this new Major General, I think his surname is Kriel, that has taken over in Limpopo. And I really hope he does what Flippin Groenewald did with, I know he's not a minister, but he's got enough power. And he sticks to his guns. And when these policemen get it, flipping caught being corrupt and bribing and all of these types of things and stealing dockets and doing the things that they do, and actually involved, many policemen themselves directly involved in violent crime. Standard, life in prison. Put 10, 20, 30 of those acts away for life in prison, and you'll see. When that bribe comes to that police officer or that docket's going to go missing, you'll see he'll quickly weigh up. He's 100,000 Rand worth the next 30 years in Diepkloof. You know what I mean? And that's what needs to start happening, is accountability. And, this is where, look, I'll be honest with you, I still have questions. Don't get me wrong, because some things still don't tie in for me, about Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. But at a bare minimum, what he did has been a flippin' fantastic thing for this country, and it has brought that entire cesspool, that septic tank that is the South African police and RDAC, and I'm hearing now, this morning I watched podcast, Now the state security agency is also under scrutiny. We know that through all of this stuff with IDAC, now Network 24 is going to be under massive scrutiny because, you know, they've just been pushing this narrative, this anti-AfriForum, anti-this, anti-that. Everybody's white supremacists. IDAC are heroes. Malema calling Johnson Winnie Mandela. You know what I mean? And yeah, we do, Vanessa. We live in prayer and hope. But I don't know if the majority are all like sheep, eh? You know? There was a time. You must remember, we are actually very fresh in our democracy. You know, we've got 34 years. America and other places have got hundreds of years. And those places went through these things as well. They went through these crime waves. They went through the time when organized crime was running their countries. They went through these political evolutions. And they're still not even a flippin' fantastic. Yes, they're better and they're more developed and all of that. But you must remember, people are still, you know, getting used to the idea of democracy in this country, you know, and people are still, a lot of them, in terms of the sheep narrative, are still very open to political slogans and rhetoric, particularly people that are kept uneducated and people that are kept in poverty and that, you know, they look at these slogans and they look at this political rhetoric, you know, and believe it because they're looking for hope, just like you and me. They're looking for hope, you know, and when these politicians promise them the world and they don't have the capacity due to a dumbed-down education system, they don't have the capacity to understand the lies behind the promises. You with me? But as you become more and more people become able to access primarily education through the internet, because this is what a lot of South Africans are doing. They know that our education system is in the toilet. I'm talking about black South Africans, huh? And they're schooling their kids online, or they making enough money to put them into private schools. And a lot of these kids, you know, I ride with a couple of black guys, young black guys, and I promise you, their mindset is absolutely not what you see on TV. You know, and yes, they are, in terms of the big picture, they are a small group. But before, they were a zero group. It was a sum total of zero. Now, this small group of educated, enlightened, logical black people are spreading the gospel, if you will, of sensical thinking. You know, and we see more and more of them on television. I don't know if you've watched the Sama Sambit on YouTube. Go watch that young guy. You know, he's like 19 or 20 years old. And, you know, you go hear what he's saying. This is a guy that's got his flipping brain in order. This is a guy that went to school. This is a guy that studied. This is a guy that opened the books. This is a guy that spends his time on the internet understanding things. I mean, his insights sometimes far outweigh even my own insights, and he's 19. He's very smart. And it's these types of guys that are pushing the voice of logic out there. And that voice is traveling, believe me. When you go into these places, I spend a lot of time around black people. My rehab is literally in a black area on one side and Muslim area on the other side. I'm surrounded by people of color. And I hear what they're saying. Not the radical, crazy ones. The average Joe on the street, the guy at the petrol station filling up my petrol, I talk to him. And I listen to what he has to say. I don't try and push an agenda with him. I just say, so what's up, this, that, we have a chat. You know what I mean? I'm able to engage with these people. And the vast majority of people I engage with are Dick. The vast majority of people are saying things like, we've got to give Groenewald and Zilla and these types of people a chance. You know, to at least just get our services back and to get our get us jobs primarily, so that we can earn money, so that we can live. You know, the ANC has been promising us this. I mean, you saw this Lesotho again, promising the flipping world. Now, last week, he promised all those students 45,000 jobs in within 90 days. Zero. They got zero. Now he's promising jobs again from, I don't know where he's going to thumbsuck these jobs. And these guys, you must understand, that are in the public arena of their employment, like petrol guys and people working retail at the till and that, They're listening now. They're listening to what people are saying. And they're going, it doesn't really matter if the person that is in control is white or black. It's not even the argument for the average South African anymore. I promise you. It's only, a group of brainwashed people that think this, that, that white people will come and re-implement apartheid. That's stupidity. It's an impossibility. It can never happen. No matter how much, maybe there is a group of white people in this country. In fact, I'll say this, there is a group of white people in this country that pray for apartheid to come back. But they can forget about it. It's never going to happen because there's a lot of us that just won't allow it. We won't allow it. Because apartheid did a lot of us as much damage as white young men in this country. We don't want to see that again. I don't want to see this country collapse into some kind of civil flippant war. That's not going to benefit anybody. I'm not going to push that agenda. A lot of people tell me that I'm anti-black. My one post, I went on a rant when I saw those guys attacking that white guy's business, that Deputy Minister of Employment and Minister of Employment and Labour. I went on a proper rant. That thing was picked up by content creators in Ghana. So to give you an idea, that thing has had over 5,000 shares around Africa. Shares, 5,000 shares. God took it and he stitched it into his video. And he played probably the second half of what I actually said. He played the second half, but he didn't edit it. He just let it run. And if you go look and read at the comments from South Africans primarily, but also black people around Africa, you'll understand. Africa, number one, is waking up. Number two, South Africa is waking up. Because they're no longer, it's a very small minority. I went and read the comments, as many as I could. There's over 10,000 comments on that video. And I went and I just scrolled to see, because I want to see if I'm going to be accused of being a racist and a this and a that. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you a secret. Out of those 10,000 odd comments that I sort of scrolled through, for every 200 positive comments, there was one. Why don't you join the foreigners? Get out of our country. But the rest, and 99% black people around this country, had a positive response, a very positive response, which tells me that things are changing, and they are changing dramatically, because there's a lot of blacks in this continent and a lot of blacks in this country that are starting to realize and have realized that I'm not the enemy just by virtue of the fact that I'm white. And that is very encouraging for me. 5 years ago, I used to watch white commentators on platforms, and it didn't matter what they said. Racist, they were called racist, they were this, they were that, they were the rest. And that voice was the loudest voice. That voice has changed. And let me tell you something. This March on March movement, right? Okay, has done more, all right, in terms of Africa as a continent, to bring white and blacks together than what they're achieving by running around. If you go watch these videos where they're attacking these white people in their businesses and on their farms and all of that, and they blah, blah, you racist and you arrogant, go read the comments on that stuff and particularly pay attention to the non-militant average African and what he's got to say there. You'll see there's a change. There's a massive change. Yes, you still get the flip and crazy people, but there's a massive, massive change in the greater mindset of black versus white on this continent, and it's happening in this country right now. And I also get very despondent, guys. Very, very despondent. It's very difficult to work for money that is plummeting in value minute to minute. But I still have hope, because the mindset is changing. The mindset is changing. The more these marchers go to these businesses and do the things they're doing, the more they're exposing themselves for being the flippant, absolutely most uneducated, retarded people that have ever led a movement on the planet Earth. Go and see what black commentators are saying about Jacinta and I can't ever pronounce that guy's name, the guy with the Paka, I don't know. I don't know, it's just very difficult for me to pronounce. But go see what people are saying. Black people. Go see what black people are saying. You know, it's a minority now of militants, where before it was a majority of militants. People have seen that this militant, revolutionary, flippant talk gets you nowhere. People want to start seeing industries. People want to start seeing schools. People want to start being able to go to hospital and get help. People want to feel safe in their homes without having to pay a fortune to private security companies who are now doing the jobs of the police. That's what people want. So the way forward for South Africa is, I think we've still got a long way to go. We've got a long way to go. But you as the average guy like me, whenever you encounter people from a different race, a different religion, a different demographic, just be respectful and nice and show them through your demeanor and the way that you engage with them that what they're hearing from politicians is an absolute lie and an absolute fabrication. Because that encounter with you will change their minds. No matter how flippin' much they're trying to instigate something, you just be lekker. You just be lekker. You know? Like a lot of these guys that we've seen that are engaging with March and March, they just laugh. They just laugh. It's right, lekker, sweet. And those guys are screaming and pointing fingers in their face and all of that type of thing. You know, I don't know. I'm telling you to do it, but I don't know. A guy starts pointing his finger in my face. There's a very good chance he's going to lose that finger. That I can tell you, you know, from my perspective. But I would do my absolute best just to remain calm as best I can and just brush it off, you know. And it's as simple as that, you know. You're not going to engage with stupidity when you're at a higher level of intellect. You just got to let the stupidity scream and shout, and eventually it'll get tired of screaming and shouting and it'll go away. And the educated middle-class South African is cottoning onto this, and they're spreading the gospel of growth. All right, have a lekker day further, and enjoy Women's Day, which was yesterday, but enjoy the lekker public holiday, because it's freezing outside, and I'm lekker here warm at home, but I had to come share with you. Cheers, have a nice day.